the subject waited for a period of 84 seconds. Nothing happened. Then, the subject felt a presence materialize behind him, and SCP-2521 appeared. The creature then grabbed the subject without any warning and disappeared with the subject in hand. The subject was never found again and is presumed dead. Meanwhile, SCP-2521 continues to roam freely. Welcome back to SCP Exposed. Today, we're bringing you an SCP case that has been made strictly confidential to the public eye by O5 personnel, but is currently undergoing experimentation to test SCP-2521's capabilities. 2521 is a Keter-class object of great strength and power. It is currently impossible to contain the entity due to its ability to phase through walls. SCP-2521 is a large creature, standing almost twice the height of a normal human. Its entire body is covered in layers of sticky black tendrils that seem similar in appearance to ribbons, although it is unknown if it is made of these or is simply covered in them. The creature appears sentient and understands words, but is confused when presented with images or other nonverbal forms of communication, such as graphs and symbols. A particularly interesting ability of SCP-2521 is its ability to remove or steal every piece of information about its nature, as long as the information is expressed in textual or verbal form. For example, any pieces of writing or audio recordings that have been made on 2521 have disappeared within a few seconds of completion. Because of that, nearly everything about him is registered by ideograms and pictures. You, the viewers, may be wondering how this video is possible then, if SCP-2521 is capable of removing evidence of its existence. Well, this is part of the Foundation's experiment, aka Alpha 2521-86, in which layers of security and protection have been placed over this video tracing to prevent the creature from stealing or removing this video from online. However, the strength and durability of this layer of protection is fragile, and so we recommend you watch this video as soon as you can, and spread the word to your friends if you wish to know more about SCP-2521. SCP-2521 was first encountered by the Foundation in 1993 upon Site-14. A staff member of the Foundation was reported to be in the bathroom stall of the second floor Section C area of Site-14. The staff member was in the bathroom when other staff members outside in the hallway started hearing screams from inside the bathroom. The last thing they heard was the member screaming, "What is that thing?" And then there was nothing but silence. When they burst into the bathroom stall 3 seconds later, there was no one there. There was no sign of the staff member, nor of the creature or thing that had taken him. An occurrence much like this happened 3 more times in the same year. This brought the Foundation's attention to these disappearances, and the experimentation was conducted to identify who this kidnapper was. Security cameras were placed in the 3 separate locations where these staff members had disappeared. However, the next appearance of what is presumed to be SCP-2521 did not occur in any of these locations. In fact, no more sightings were reported until 10 years later, in August of 2003. Agent Kelly and her child were present at Site-90. Agent Kelly had been asked to bring her child to work for experimentation regarding a separate SCP case. Due to the requirements of this experimentation, the child was placed in a separate room by himself. Scientists were stationed outside. The child had a table and chair, and a notebook and pencil to entertain himself with while scientists observed from outside. Agent Kelly was also present at the scene. Suddenly, the lights went off. The whole of Site-90 was submerged in darkness. At this time, Agent Kelly, fearing for her child, rushed to his room to find him, but the door was locked. It seemed it had been locked from the inside. Agent Kelly demanded the scientists help her open the door, but they claimed they had not touched the lock button. Something else had locked the door. Agent Kelly screamed for her son, but her son did not reply. The door wasn't unlocked for another 10 minutes. When it miraculously swung open, Agent Kelly rushed into the room to find her son still doodling in the notebook. Agent Kelly asked her son if he was all right. He replied that he was fine and that he had spoken to someone. When Agent Kelly asked who he had spoken to, the child lifted up his notebook to reveal a childish drawing of SCP-2521. Security footage of the event was removed, instead displaying the text "Signal lost." When the child was asked why he had decided to draw a picture of his new friend, He replied, "Because I feel like I might forget if I don't." SCP-2521's exact origin is uncertain. Some researchers theorize it has something to do with SCP-1346-1. SCP-1346-1 is a room behind a normal-looking door at the end of the corridor which is designated to SCP-1346. 1346 itself is the corridor that leads to the said room in an engineering company's basement level. At first glance, both the corridor and room appeared normal. However, reports of anomalous events in this corridor caused an investigation to be made by Foundation personnel in 1987. Anomalous effects included the following. As subjects kept going down the corridor, they would begin to experience intense fear as they approached the door. This effect would eventually cause subjects to refuse to proceed further and go back. And when exiting the corridor, the fear would disappear and the subjects would be confused on why they were scared in the first place. Although in some cases, some subjects retained the trauma. Eventually, after some failed experiments, the Foundation sent a D-Class member who had SCP-3031, a rare brain condition which made him unable to feel fear. This experiment somewhat worked as the D-Class member didn't develop fear. Foundation personnel asked him to enter the door via radiocom, and he managed to enter the room. Now, there's a reason why this experiment was a half failure, half success. For starters, it succeeded in the sense that Foundation personnel were able to access SCP-1346. However, the D-Class member never returned. He was still alive upon entry into the room of SCP-1346, but he had been imprisoned. Approximately 48 hours after the member had entered and remained unresponsive, a letter was slipped under the door containing the D-Class member's handwriting. It read, "Hi, this is Harold Marvey. I'm in the room, but I'm stuck. I can't get out. Turns out the room is actually a prison. Inside, there's a cage, and in the cage, there's this creature. When I entered the room, I took its place somehow. The creature is free now. I don't know if it's evil or not. I can't describe to you what it looks like now, cause otherwise they'll take me away. This is all I can say. Don't bother trying to rescue me. They already told me there's no hope, and they've proved it too. Tell my family I love them." The creature is presumed to be 2521, given that the D-Class couldn't describe it since it would be taken away, meaning that SCP-1346 was the prison of the creature. Of course, this is not certain, although it is highly likely considering the Foundation's first discovery of SCP-2521 occurred within a week of this breakout. After intense research into SCP-2521, an old film recording was located in an abandoned warehouse that appeared to contain a story about the creature, communicated through sign language. Interpreters were able to translate the sign language, and the video played as follows. The video was titled, "Please Say My Name." He was born into a cold and empty world. His location was irrelevant, for he only knew of two places, his barren home and the foreign outside world. He didn't know where he was, why he was there, or even who he was. All he knew was that he could hear and see what others said anywhere at any time. He constantly stood vigilant, looking for more information, hoping someone could help him figure out himself. That is how he spent his days, listening and watching the whole world, waiting for a new breakthrough in a cold case, for someone who could finally answer his existential questions. He was frequently left disappointed, however. He could see a story in a book about a tall, dark monster, but this one had teeth or scales, or tore out your guts in a haunted forest. He was almost always left just out of frame, only gathering pieces of a lookalike's life. The last time he met a human, they ran off screaming into the horizon, their orange jumpsuit never to be seen again. Still, he waited. Eventually, he figured someone would learn about him and allow him to know his true nature. Eventually, his great mystery would be solved and his life given a sense of completion. Eventually, someone would say his name. If it wasn't for the tireless work of the Foundation to keep his very existence under lock and key, never to be mentioned again. It is unknown who recorded this video or when they recorded it. The video appears to be dated to the late 19th century. However, the references to the people in orange jumpsuits and the Foundation contradict its timestamp. Another interesting feature is that in the video, SCP-2521 is depicted as sympathetic. Its own origin is a mystery even to itself, not knowing what it is, what its real name is, or where it came from, which saddens the creature. It is not evil, but just wants to know about itself, and that is why it steals documents and people who describe it, in order to find information about itself. However, Foundation personnel do not know whether this description of SCP-2521 is reliable or not. O5 level members recommend that Foundation staff still remain wary whenever they are in the creature's presence. 2 experiments have been made for SCP-2521 so far, due to the rarity of its encounters and appearances. In the experiment 2521-A, a D-Class member was placed inside a room alone. He was told to look at a chart and images describing SCP-2521 before writing it in text form. After the D-Class personnel finished writing, SCP-2521 appeared in the room and showed fondness towards the image of itself. It then took away the text version of it. Scared, the D-Class personnel had to agree to let it do so, and SCP-2521 left, leaving the D-Class personnel terrified and traumatized. The second experiment was made under the same circumstances. However, this time, the D-Class personnel was told to describe the images in an oral verbal form. After describing it, SCP-2521 manifested, expressing what seemed to be affection towards the D-Class member before taking them into its arms or ribbon-like body. Both the member and the creature disappeared through the wall of the room. The member is yet to be found. They are presumed to be dead. So, what did you think of that SCP case? Comment your thoughts below and be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Don't forget to click the notification bell too, so you don't miss out on any more SCP stories.